Hi guys, welcome back to the Player YouTube channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at this car, and that, believe it or not, is the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. And if you're wondering what PHEV stands for, it's plug-in hybrid electrical vehicle. There you go. So this is semi-electric and it's got a 2.4 litre petrol engine. Let's jump in it, let's have a look around it and see what we think of this latest car from Mitsubishi. So what are the differences between the old Outlander and the new Outlander? Not many, to be honest. There's a slightly redesigned front bumper and the same at the back, which we'll see in a minute. And really, for £37,000, which is the new asking price, you don't even get LED headlights. All you get is an LED running light and a couple of halogens. That's a little bit poor in my opinion. However, you do get a decent set of alloys, and these come as standard, so that's not bad. And of course, you get the plug-in hybrid EV badge, which makes you an eco warrior, and that's really good. So as mentioned at the beginning, this is an electrically powered vehicle, and this is where you get your, or plug your power in. So there's two sockets, the one on the left hand side here, if I can pull it open, you ping that back. And that one is for your 13 amp extension. So that's the one that if you're at work during the day, you can just plug it into just to a standard socket on the wall or overnight. And it takes around 5 hours on that one, on the wall socket one, to fully charge this, which gives you around 25 miles of electrical energy. But that is being topped up by what they call the KERS system, which is the regenerative, get your words around it, braking and steering. That is also part of this, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get up front in the car. On the right hand side, you have the larger, more powerful charger. Now the car does come with both charging leads, obviously. This one takes around 25 minutes to give you an 80% charge. It won't give you a full 100% charge. The reason for that is that the manufacturers always worry that the battery could overheat, explode or something. So they only allow it up to 80%. That one you will get 100%. So working that out, if you wanted to do 100 miles in this car on electrical energy alone, it would take you around 24 hours of stopping and charging. So it'd take you a day to do 100 miles. It's not that good, but however, you can do up to 80 miles an hour on the electrical side of the engine. But again, that reduces your range. So your range becomes about 8 to 10 miles instead of 25. So you've got to keep it, to be honest, this car is absolutely brilliant if you're going into town for the day and you keep it under 30 miles an hour. You drive all around town all day, 25 miles, no less, drive back to home, stick it on charge, absolutely perfect. Or if you're going into the office and you can just pull up outside and you've got somewhere you can just plug it in and leave it there all day, and then it's less than 25 miles to home. That's where it works, and that's where this car comes into its own. The petrol engine side of it we'll discuss when we get it out on the road. Let's take a look around the back and see how much room and how spacious this car is inside. Well, it's not a bad looking car from behind. You get some nice little chrome bits on here, get a rear wash and wipe, and you get a nice spoiler across the back, a diffuser with a rear brake light. And I think it's quite chunky, it looks all right. There's no assisted electronic tail lift for a couple of reasons. One, you don't need it because these struts are so good, you don't need any effort at all to lift that up. And two, you'd only be burning up battery power if you had an electronic one. So, and don't forget, this doesn't do a lot to the mileage on the battery, so the more you can save, the better. You do get this rather horrible, flimsy cover here. I hate them, you know that. I always want to just throw them away. It does fold back and it is very, very easy to get it out. But once you've got it out, there's just nowhere to put it. So completely useless. So the first thing I'd do with this when I got hold of it would be throw it in the bin. I'm not going to do that now because this isn't my car and it'd be very rude. But see, look, I can't even find anywhere to put it now. I'm just going to have to put it, well, I'm just going to lay it down here, guys. It's getting in the way. Right, so in the back here, bags and bags of room, I'll give it that. It's ultra wide, there's big pockets either side, got a 12-volt adapter in here, that's all nice. You'll notice when we get inside here in a second, there's a double cup holder on there. And you're probably thinking, well, why would you do that? Was it for the dogs to have their little bowls in or something? No. You see, you can buy this car as a 2.4 litre petrol only car. And you get 2 extra seats in the boot here. So this then becomes a 7-seater car. Now for 37 grand, that's worth a 7-seater car. And I think that's what's happened here. Someone's gone, oh, I think we should make a hybrid version of this. And unfortunately, under here where the seats would normally go, they've had to put one of the electric motors and the battery where it charges it all. So you just run out of space basically. It's a shame, but nevertheless, if you want to be eco-friendly, this is a good car to go for. Speaking of electrically charging, here underneath, nicely and neatly put away, is your home charger. Well, it can be away as well, but either way, it's very simple. It plugs in, tells you it's charging all right. You leave it for those number of hours and you get your charge. Fold this back one more time like so, and you've got your fast charger, which is in there. So that just plugs in whenever you go into a fast charging station. Nice and simple. There's a jack, you have a puncture repair kit, and you get a little pump. Yeah. Again, you can't have a space saver or a spare wheel in here because of the battery. So while you're doing your off-roading, which is what this car says it's all about, you might get a buckled wheel or a bent rim. What are you going to do? Pump it up with this? I don't think so. So a puncture, great, but you haven't even got a spare wheel. So that's called a services job and get you towed home, unfortunately. It's all nice, it all gets put away really nicely and it works. And another thing which I really love, look at the load height on this. It's perfect, just lifting your shopping. Absolutely wonderful. And there's no lip on there either. It's really nice and smooth. However, scratchy plastic, that's not going to last 5 minutes. It's going to be scratched prams in there, push chairs, dogs jumping up. It's going to have it. Let's get in the back and see whether it's comfortable for the passengers or not, or is it losing out completely to the opposition. Let's check it out in the back, what it's like for the passengers. Well, the first thing I noticed when I jumped in here was the sheer amount of space. It's absolutely huge. Let's shut the door because I want to show you another thing. Look how big these windows are, and they're slightly tinted as well, which is really nice. But you can see from how low they go, it makes it a really nice seating position, especially for kids because they can see out, and you really want them being comfy and happy when they're in the back here. Independent heating control, but all it does is turn it off and on, and you can move it, you know, so there's not a lot of scope with that. You get one USB charger in the back. Again, I just think that's really poor. You're gonna, you know, these kids or whoever's in the back is going to fight over that if you're on a long journey. A good thing is you do have a very low center here. The transmission tunnel is non-existent basically because it's primarily an electric car. Another thing is these seats are really good because not only can they fold backwards to such a degree that you can almost go to sleep in here like that. It's very, very nice, especially on your head as well. They do have a purpose though, and I'm going to show you what you have to do if you lift. I'm actually sitting on that one, so you'd probably do this outside the car, but I'm going to show you from inside because it is possible. I rehearsed it. That goes forward like that. It's a bit flimsy and floppy, but nevertheless it does work. And this one you just unclip and this will come all the way. So it's a 60-40 split on this car, but it is absolutely huge in here. And you know, the sheer height in here as well means you can pretty much transport anything you're going to get. The only thing is you don't get that centerpiece where you can put long loads, but I think given the fact that this car is already pretty long anyway, I don't think you're going to need it. It's really good. So let me fix this back up so as it goes back up. They're not heavy, they're just look at that, it's so easy. This I think is wonderful, the way that clips forward, so you don't, that just clips back in. You can still put this forward while that's up, but you don't get it, doesn't go as flat, but it will still go down. That's a good thing as well. I love the fact that these go right back. In the center here you have an armrest with a double cup holder, and to be honest, I think it'd be quite pleasant in here for a couple of hours. I don't see any problems whatsoever. Let's jump in the front and see what you get for your money as the driver. Let's check it out up front and have a look and see what we've got here. Well, first of all, it's a great place to keep the key. They've made a little tiny little cubby hole in there for it, which is perfect. It's keyless obviously, so we'll start the car up and we'll shut the door just to make things all nice and quiet and there's no whistles and bells going. There we go, and it all fires up. You can hear it all dinging and donging, whatever it does. Now let's start with the steering wheel. So on the right hand side, all of the Outlanders come standard with the cruise control system, but that's about it on the right hand side there. On the left, you've got the menu and the source buttons, and again, it's extremely basic. You've got the voice control system down here, and you can wirelessly set up your telephone, your mobile, with this as well. There is mirroring for Android and Apple, but you need the cable, and I didn't bring a cable today, so I can't show you. But that, I think, is going to happen quite a lot if you come out. And this is where the problem could occur, because on every Mitsubishi Outlander, there's no Sat-Nav system. They haven't put one on there. And to be honest, I've seen the old one when they did put them in there, and they were completely rubbish, to be honest with you. You're better off with, you know, the normal maps on your phone, which is mirrored on here. But you've got to remember to keep a spare cable in here. I didn't, take my word for it. It's an okay heating system, very simple to use. You get aircon with this, standard. You get a nice double cup holder here underneath this sort of fake carbon fibre stuff. You get a very, very simple gearbox here, because this car pretty much drives itself, and you just got drive, reverse, and then you've got the four-wheel drive button here. Now that will give you 3 different modes. So you've got snow, which obviously is all-wheel drive. You've got rocky surface, or rock, it comes up on the dashboard there. And then you've got the diff lock. That's when all 4 wheels are locked up and they've all got exactly the same amount of power going to them. So in the terms of the off-roading language, it's diff lock. So in other words, it's all locked up. It's very good and really works very well. There's also a big sport button here, which they put in blue and silver, so you can't really miss that. Then you've got a couple of heated electric seats and a couple of cooling. Quite nice. I mean, tiny little cubby box here. There's no USB charger in there, just a tiny cubby box. Just about to get a mobile in there. One USB charger at the front, a 12-volt adapter above it. There's your petrol release cap here, and then you've got your full eco mode here. And I'll explain that when we get out on the road, how that all works with the paddles and everything. Standard wash and wipe on the right, headlights on the left. It is pretty simple, guys. Glove box, it's a reasonable size, and well, look at this. You get an instruction manual and operation guide with it as well, which I'll probably have a read of later. Looks quite interesting. So let's get it out on the road and let's see what it's actually like to drive, because it's got great visibility and it's a very comfortable seat. So I've got high hopes for this car when we get it out on the road. So when you get this car out on the road, you really start to appreciate where the build quality, where that money is going to, because it is super quiet, it is super comfortable, and it's just a lovely place to sit and be. Got this massive great windshield here, gives you a fantastic view out onto the road, and it just seems very light and airy. Unfortunately, on this particular model there isn't a sunroof. However, I'm sure you can have that extra if you'd like, you know, if you want to add that when you're buying it. Economy wise, well, I've been told by Mitsubishi that this car, combined with the hybrid and the petrol engine, would do 140 miles to a gallon. Now, I know, I can hear you now going, that it's just absolutely, in a way you're right, it's a little bit over exaggeration, but someone has done the math on this. Someone's worked it out. I can't work it out, but then I'm not qualified to do that. But all I know is when I'm driving this car on battery power, I'm getting around about, on a full charge, 50 miles, probably thereabouts to a gallon. And then on the actual petrol engine, I'm getting around 26, 27. You've got to remember it's a 2.4 litre engine. That's burning fuel, you know. And at the end of the day, combining those two just about comes to half of what Mitsubishi is saying. So please comment below if you tell me you're getting more to the gallon than that when you work it out per se, the hybrid and the petrol combined, because I cannot see how you can do it. It's next to impossible. Enough of that. Let's talk about the curves, the recovery system on this car, the electrical recovery system. That's quite easy to explain, because on this car you have a couple of buttons that you can alter the way the car performs. So if, for example, you are going to spend a lot of time driving around town, you'd probably be better off having a bit more use of the battery, because one, it's eco-friendly, it's cleaner, and two, it costs next to nothing, to be honest, to charge it up and run it. But the problem is, once you get out on the open road, you really don't want to be burning up your battery. That's where you want to be using your engine, your petrol engine. So the way they've done it with this car is you can actually choose how you set the car up, and that recovery system can also be adjusted. See the paddles here? Well, they're not paddles for changing gear. They're paddles for adjusting the recovery system, the amount of recovery that you get out of the car itself. So basically you can change these between 1 and 5, and between 1 and 5 that will dictate how much, if you take your foot off the accelerator, how much brake power is putting back into the recovery system. So if you have it on 3, by lowering it like that, now it will just roll along, which is rather nice. But have it on 5 and you're getting the maximum back from that recovery system, which is a really good way of driving it. What you can also do as well, if you come out of town and you want to save some of that battery, you can actually put this car into save EV mode, which is brilliant. So now it just runs totally on the petrol engine, albeit you're getting 26 to the gallon. You won't want to be doing that too often. It is, as I said, this car is designed really for a nice trip to the city, poodle around town, or maybe to work and back. It costs you next to nothing going backwards and forwards to work. It's fantastic. The other lovely bits and pieces I like on this car are the little graphics that you get with it. They're really, really cool. It's a TFT touchscreen, 7.5-inch touchscreen. It's really nice, very basic. But if you look on the energy monitor itself, it's really cool the way it works. You can actually see the amount of kilowatts that you are saving by changing, you can set the car up. It's quite interesting. And then there's if you split between the screens, you can go to energy flow. And those of you who have ever driven an electric vehicle in one shape, way or form, or a hybrid vehicle, you'll see the way the energy is put back into the battery and when it's taken from the battery and when the engine's working and the little wheels go around. That's all fine and it's nice for the first few times, and your passengers will probably enjoy playing with it as well. But apart from that, there isn't really much else on this car to show you. It's a supercar to drive. It is very, very comfortable. It's very responsive. There is one thing that I haven't told you about: the magic button. I call it a magic button. Down here there's a button with sport written on it. Now obviously that means this car is going to be suddenly ramped up and perform at its best. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting much out of this, but oh my god, when you put this in sport mode, it shuts off the old electric motor, it clamps down the suspension, everything tightens up, and this car absolutely flies. I was really shocked. Well, saying that, almost 2.5 litre engine, you expected it to do a little bit of power, but not like that. Wow, it really does shift when you want it to. Okay, it's not going to blow the whiskers off your face, it's not that fast, but for a big old car, it really goes. A little bit with the suspension, it tends to wobble a little bit. It's a bit wallowy. I think that's the best way of describing it. However, it's comfy, it's nice. What I'm a little bit disappointed about are the safety systems. No blind spot mirrors, there's no lane assist, there's no distance control, there's nothing. I mean, basically, you've got you and an airbag, or a couple of airbags, and that's about it, really. There's not even a reversing, well, there's reverse cameras, but there's no reversing sensors. So when you're trying to park this car, it's really difficult because you're only reliant on a camera, which is not that brilliant either. So I think the way you've got to look at this car is I think it's a nice, healthy, good second car to run the kids to school, to maybe go to a place of work, or take the dogs for a nice walk, and try and keep it in the electrical mode. But barring that, for the money, I think this car, there is so much competition these days and it's going to struggle. That's my personal opinion. What you think of it is entirely up to you, but I will say this is well worth a test drive. It's definitely worth getting one out and just having a go in it, because you never know. I mean, it might be for you. Maybe not the hybrid version. Maybe you go for the 7 seats. You see, that's, when I said about the 7 seats when we got in the back, and I said that could be where the original money was spent on this car. And that makes it a lot more viable. But not in a 2.4 litre doing 26 to the gallon. Need to have a look at that. And that's your only option, by the way. You've been watching me, AJ the Player. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed the review. I hope you've enjoyed the view. I hope you've enjoyed the review. Get my words out. Don't forget, we do these cars every single week. If you look on our YouTube channel, you will see a whole list of all the cars that we review. And they're not just supercars and they're not just SUVs. We've got a vast range of different cars. And we don't sell cars, and we don't sell insurance, or we don't sell lease hire or anything like that. We just do reviews to give you an honest opinion, and that's what it's all about. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been me. It's been a pleasure. AJ the Player. Don't forget, like, subscribe and comment. Love your comments. I love getting back to you on those as well. And I look forward to catching you next week with that next car. Take it easy, guys. Safe motoring.